My best.
You're doing this course in overtime.
Yeah, man.
Getting after it. How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good, good, good. What do you think so far?
So far, it's pretty dope. Only missed the armadillo. Just I was grazed the top. Just
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I hit him the next shot.
That's awesome.
All right, so we at the cliff shot at what's this, range 10, he up to 10 shot. John posted on his channel, on his YouTube, whatever, you see the cliff. He's gonna show us about like using the hips, you aiming with your hips and not your arms.
Yeah, so this is like a very, very common field archery shot. So internationally, field archery is one of my favorite formats because it's so technical, and things like this are super technical. This shot doesn't have a long distance, but in competition, on this particular length shot, we'd be aiming at a bunny target. So it'd be about the size of a quarter. And honestly, you would have 3 shots here, or depending on the type of field format, even 4, and you need to shoot 4 quarters to, like, if you're in the pro class, you better clean up right here. Bunnies, they're called bunnies or birdie shots, they make or break it. So you're aiming at a quarter at this distance. So this is about 25.5 yards, but with this angle, we're actually gonna be shooting it for 21.5. So it's a 5-yard cut. If you didn't do that and you're aiming at something the size of a quarter, 1 arrow that far off, you'd be out of the tournament, flew to Croatia or wherever for nothing. So yeah, the key here is technicality, and there's gonna be a couple things to think about. One, we do have a little bit of a side hill. So once we draw down on this, your top limb's gonna wanna lean over. And as soon as you lose your bubble, you know, if that bubble starts to bury to the right, your arrow's gonna always follow your limb tip. So as soon as that limb tip starts to fall over, your arrow's gonna go that way too. And the key is obviously anchor position, and, you know, front sight, rear sight acquisition is like critical. So in this situation, make sure you got good footing, which we actually do. This is nice. I always just tip my top limb about half of a bubble into the slope, so that once I draw and come down, gravity will level it out a little bit easier for me. Obviously, second, third axis on your sight, like you'd be missing without even missing on your shot if that wasn't correct for your bubble. But we're gonna draw anchor first, front sight, rear sight acquisition, get a perfect center on front sight, rear sight, and then pivot at the waist. And obviously, whenever you change your angle, it's a little bit harder to pull through your shot properly, so you really have to focus on committing to the follow through, even more so once you start shooting up and downhill. Because if the shot goes off and you just stop and you quit, a lot of times you send that string in a slightly different direction than when you're shooting flat, and it can change the direction of your arrow. So you want to do it first, or you want me to do it?
You lead by example.
I like it. Just make sure they haven't moved this guy. There it is. One of the things that makes this tough, Corey, you look down there, it's so dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I'll give you a little tip. Like in this case here, step up here to the cone. So if you look down there with your binoculars, go ahead and take a look down there. It's really hard to see the scoring rings.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can make them out, which I can make out the scoring ring, so I might utilize a different object to actually aim off of. So in this case, there's that green leaf that's in front of the target, but it's coming up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my radius of the cone, and because I can't see the scoring ring on the target, and when I'm looking through my peep, that's just gonna be, it's gonna be just a tan shadow. So what I'll do is I'll actually adjust myself to where when I'm aiming off the tip of that leaf, which is right here, my pin can sit on the corner of that leaf, and the 12 ring is right behind it.
Okay.
So I've adjusted myself to give me a point of aim. Otherwise, you're just aiming at a silhouette. All right, sight set, footing's good. See the tip of that leaf?
Yep. Like you took a
See
piece
where that
off
arrow
of it.
is?
Right above it. Now, why
Come
is
check this out, everybody.
Now this aims at
Take a step where I was.
26. So why is that it cuts that 5 yards off with the angle? Like what is it that happened? Because if you wouldn't have said that, I would have shot at 26. So
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that for people. Okay, so here's a way to think about cutting or how to angle compensate. So if we're shooting from a tree stand, let's just say right here is my target. We're way up here, right? We're shooting down. This distance all the way down, let's say that could be 40 yards in a line of sight. But the reality is your arrow is only affected by distance of gravity horizontally. So gravity holding that arrow straight up and down from where we're shooting from, the real distance is from here to here. That's the distance you shoot for, because that's the distance your arrow is actually traveling on a horizontal plane. So it's not the line of sight distance. So it's just like if we were in a tree stand 100 yards up, but that deer was only 20 yards away from the base of the tree, we're shooting it for 20 yards because your arrow's only getting affected by that gravity horizontally. So we can't think of the full distance down off this cliff. What we think about is if that deer was straight up and level with us, which just look at, he's under that tree.
So
range the tip of that the tip of those leaves right there, straight above them. What do you get?
21. 21 and a half. You see we both using the Mavens too.
Yep.
Those new Maven RF1s.
Yep.
Shit.
That's
So,
it, dude.
And if you're a deer hunter like I am, if you shot a shot that was underneath you and you felt like I had the pin on him and I aimed it for exactly what the rangefinder said and you hit high or you might have missed over the top, and there it is. That just told me the solution to a couple of misses I've had in my hunting career, because I've always gone off what the rangefinder said and not thinking about how far they are from the tree and not me.
All right, dude. Wreck that arrow.
Damn near.
Just left. Nice job, dude.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you for the info, John. Like, that definitely just blew my mind, because my whole life my dad always said you aim and use the rangefinder. Never really hung out with a pro and learned, so we learned something today.